Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to the latest installment of EMA's webinar series. This one's called Redefining the Buying Cycle. I'm Dave Bulger, a partner at Eric Mower & Associates, and I focus on digital and integration strategies for the agency. I've spent the better part of the last 20 years working with and learning from some of the best and brightest in the fields of behavioral science, communications technology, and one-to-one marketing. I've been very fortunate to have been able to synthesize key concepts from these disparate disciplines and turn them into something resembling a career. Over the next few minutes, you can decide whether that's a good thing. Also, I've scripted today's comments to make sure I hit my timing marks, so if I sound like a book on tape, my apologies. I will endeavor to inflect. In this session, we're going to explore some ongoing challenges we face as marketers by focusing on the interaction between company and customer, and beginning to figure out how, in our current economic climate, we might be able to have a bigger impact in spite of shrinking marketing dollars. First, let's frame the challenge a bit. Here's a great quote that somebody pinned to my corkboard a while back. If you know who the author is, let me know. All my Google searches have come back empty. Or if you know who pinned it to my corkboard, that would be less helpful, but still good to know. So the quote is, "People don't want your products. They want what your products do for them. Truth be told, they don't care about you, your company, or anything you want to sell them. They only care about themselves. You have to appeal to their self-interest, not yours, to be successful." In other words, all customers are teenagers, no matter how old they are. With this in mind, here are a couple of things to remember. It's not about what we as marketers are selling. It is about what our customers are buying. People are creatures of habit, and that's a good thing because, fortunately, habits can be changed. However, if we want to influence changes in behavior, and trust me, we do, we have to understand customers as individuals and adapt our messages to each one based on who they are and how they react at each point of not only the initial buying cycle, but throughout their entire customer life cycle. Which brings us to some objectives for today's presentation. First, I want to make the case for reaching and connecting with potential customers who are learning and shopping, not just those who are ready to buy right now. Second, I'll attempt to demonstrate how adjusting your marketing mix and enhancing your marketing focus can help you meet your goals even when your budget is shrinking. Third, I'll introduce what we refer to as an object-oriented approach to creating your marketing messages, so you can deliver the right message at the right time to each message recipient. I'll try to be just the right amount of nerdy for this part. And finally, I'll reinforce the importance of making sure your marketing messages aren't just relevant to individual audience members, but that they're also sufficiently intimate, which has more meanings than the one that may have first popped into your mind. Learning, shopping, buying. The best way to dig into the concept of learning, shopping, buying is to remember our trusty Marketing 101 sales funnel. We've got our target market, where we try to find suspects, people who might be interested in us, in order to glean prospects, also known as suspects with budget, need, authority, and the right timing. We work those prospects for the privilege of cranking out proposals that we can turn into contracts and ring the new customer bell, which of course also means an angel gets some wings. For people who raise their hands, we want to know if they're ready to buy. If no, then it's off to the great lead wasteland with them, or as folks who spent a fortune on installation and training call it, the CRM system. But if they say yes, the game is afoot. Now we begin the dance to find out whether they're ready to buy our brand. If no, lead wasteland. If yes, now we're really sinking biz dev costs into this. So, did we win? If no, hum a few bars of Bob O'Reilly and it's off to the lead wasteland. If yes, an angel gets wings. Generally speaking, marketing is responsible for getting leads to the side of the boat, where sales takes over and hauls them in. Since sales is largely a human endeavor, it makes sense that the only leads that get nurtured are the ones with the greatest likelihood of buying something really, really soon. Let's start by putting some numbers to the funnel. This is just for illustration purposes. We tried to land on the optimistic side of realistic, but you'll get the idea. Say we have an annual revenue goal of $20 million and our average sale is worth $10,000. To hit our bogey, we're going to need to write 2,000 contracts. Which means if we can win 4 out of 10 proposals, we'll be submitting 5,000 proposals. Of course, we can't really sell a $10,000 product without some meetings, and let's say half of our meetings result in proposal requests. Great, that's a mere 10,000 meetings. To get that kind of meeting count, and we're really good, so we get meetings with half of our qualified leads, we'll need 20,000 qualified leads. If 1 out of 5 people who raise their hands from a lead generation tactic are qualified, that's 100,000 leads. And at an average 1% response rate from lead generation tactics, we better be getting at least 10 million impressions. At least. And that's the good news. With a funnel like this, we're really working against ourselves, especially when we're only interested in, and only structuring our messages for, people actively in the purchase process. We're going to need something a little bit more efficient. If we can create a system that also takes care of all the people who were interested enough to raise their hands but weren't ready to say yes, we might just be able to widen the funnel sufficiently to nurture more of those leads and turn them into sales. How? By focusing more on their buying cycles than our selling cycle. And the most efficient way of doing that is to have marketing do more of the heavy lifting. So let's break down this notion of the buying cycle. We'll start with the target market. Again, for the sake of illustration, let's say our total addressable market is about 10 million strong, and the average refresh rate for our product, that is how long the product lasts before it's time to replace it, is 5 years. If so, then our best case scenario when we're trolling for leads is that 1/5 of our market is even considering refresh. There will, of course, be folks in our total addressable market that are buying for the first time, but still the potential sales base is considerably less than 10 million. Our biggest problem at this point is that we don't reliably know where any one potential buyer falls, outside our own customer base, and only then if we're keeping really good track of our customers. So, of the potential customers that should be in consideration, they could be anywhere in their purchase process, from needs assessment and research through selection and the approval gauntlet. Or they're considering expanding to something bigger, or just servicing what they've already invested in. Who knows? And of course, each company has its own time frame and internal processes. But wait, there's more. Within each company, different divisions are likely making their own decisions in their own time frames. And of course, the decision isn't made by a single individual, so there's the additional fun of figuring out who's who on the decision-making team. Especially since each person comes into the process with a particular point of view and their own unique motivations for and barriers to purchasing or even championing a solution. Suffice it to say, there are a lot of moving parts. This particular example is B2B, but the complexities of non-impulse buys can be found regardless of the product or service or the marketplace being served. Alright, let's drill down a bit and take a closer look at who's responding to our lead generation efforts. Some of the people who respond aren't even in the market for what we're selling. These are people who either recently purchased a product in our space or who don't meet our prospect criteria in terms of need, budget, authority, or interest. They liked something they saw, though, so sending them off to the lead wasteland means we might not know when they become learners. These are the folks who are thinking about making a purchase in the near future but are still trying to understand the solution landscape. In fact, most of the respondents to an information-based offer, like a white paper, are probably learners. Sales qualification tosses them out and gripes that marketing's feeding them bad leads. But they're not bad leads. They're just not ready to buy yet. However, they were intrigued enough by our offer to raise their hands. So we're going to miss out if we relegate them to the lead wasteland because learners eventually become shoppers. Shoppers are getting ready to make a purchase and they're looking for the best solution. If we've done a good job helping them learn, they'll trust us as a resource when they become shoppers. Shoppers are the best audiences for case studies, since they understand the solution landscape and are beginning to get to know the players within their desired solution set. Now we come to the buyers. These are the responders who are ready to buy and are actively comparing the best alternatives. They're different than shoppers. Shoppers are trying to position you relative to your competition. Buyers want your best foot forward and your best deal revealed. Keep in mind, in our model, buyer just means people in the buying stage, not necessarily only those ready to sign on the dotted line. But once a buyer is identified, it's a logical point in the buying cycle to turn the prospect over to the most appropriate sales professional. Finally, some people who respond to lead generation tactics are already your customers. If we're treating them right, we're able to assess whether they're learning, shopping, or buying in terms of resell, cross-sell, and upsell opportunities. It is extremely important to know whether a responder is already your customer. It makes a huge difference to them, and ultimately to you, that you acknowledge their status. Just think of how you feel when your phone company or your cable company or your credit card company sends you junk mail trying to win your business. If they're lucky, you only mock them as you pass the wasted creative, printing, postage, and fulfillment costs through your shredder. So, lest you think these are just common sense observations about people as they move through the buying cycle, let me tie it back to science. behavioral science. The buying cycle